You're in a transition and you're wondering when, how, why, who. You wondering all these other things. Do this. Adjust your glasses, check your perspective, put on a new outfit, that bright lip, whatever you gotta do, and know that God is working it out for your favor. You love God, you on a mission, you doing what you're supposed to be doing. God is working it out for your good. That doesn't mean that things ain't gonna come up. People ain't gonna say stuff. Stuff is not gonna get in the way. Stuff is not gonna break. Stuff is not gonna change. People aren't gonna leave. Things you're gonna need to pivot. I mean, there's all these other things in the middle. But again, trust and believe. That's right, love. Trust and believe that God is working it out for your good. I sit here and think about last year this time when I had got the news that I had Vasa Previa and also Placenta Previa when I was pregnant. And for me, it was like, okay, God's gonna work it out. He's healed me before. It's gonna work out. And then I had to limit things. I had to limit what I was listening to. I had to limit how I told my family. Most of the time I would tell them in groups and one time. Right? So I didn't have to keep reliving it because I wanted them to be aware of what was going on, but I didn't want to have to keep going over and over it again. I wanted to just focus in on God's promises and just renewing my, just like you eat every day, you use the bathroom every day, all throughout the day. You know, it was about me renewing my mind every moment I could, right? I mean, and there was times where I would literally be like, oh my goodness. Especially when you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you there's nothing that they can do, right? You got so many minutes to make it to the hospital. And so Vasa Previa, from the way it was explained to me, you can do your own research if it's something that you want to look up. But basically, imagine a balloon. And it has two strings attached, one string attached to it, right? A balloon and then the string, right? Well, that was my placenta, and you had the vessels in there, right? The baby's vessels. Well, the placenta split into twos, and the vessels were attached to both parts of the placenta. Those vessels was covering my cervix. And it was like it was very close to my cervix, where it put me at a high risk pregnancy. So from there, I had to literally go on, like, basically just restrictions on everything. And then every single doctor I went to would tell me that it's not gonna move. And I'm telling them, oh, it's gonna move. It's gonna move. Like, I don't see why I wouldn't. And, you know, my brain is going back to, again, there was a time in my life where I had some weird, crazy thing where my body was swelling, and sometimes every now and then it'll pop back out. But overall, that time period that I went through, like 3 years, God healed me from that and revealed to me exactly what it was that no other doctor at that time could figure it out. But anyway, so, and this is all while I'm producing Indiana Fashion Week, all kind of stuff. That's why you never know what people are going through. And so be kind to people, right? And so anyway, because I had that prior experience, and because I'm like, I believe God's gonna work it out. You know, I want my baby, right? Again, you just don't know, right? Anyway, I don't even want to say those things because those are that's other people's privacy. But just rooting myself in God and what God's promises are, and whatever the outcome God brings, then, you know, I'm trusting in God. And some people could be like, why would you even, like, but I'm not about to sit here and worry. I'm sure not about to sit here and worry. And that can happen easily when I start calling people and, you know, and not reading and depending on what I'm watching and things like that. So anyway, long story short, December, January came around, pretty much every single thing I've like limited. Like, I'm not even going to the grocery store by myself. I can't do any, like, And then it was where you're going to have to go into the hospital. And you're going to have to stay for anywhere from 30, 40 days. And I'm like, Lord, I don't want to go into the hospital. You know, I will, though. I'll do whatever, you know, because God bless doctors. I worked with doctors before. Some really great doctors. Some that were not great. But some really great doctors, too. And they were great at what they do. They might have just been horrible humans. But anyway, but majority of them were really great, amazing, kind. They truly wanted to help. And so, in other parts, sometimes it was just arrogant. They was good at what they did, but they were just arrogant. Any whole other conversation. That's not about this right now. So I'm like, if I gotta go in there, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Fine. But trying to figure out and navigate with my other son, my other babe child, I've never been away from him like that before, besides a couple days if I was traveling or something. So I'm like thinking, you know, Jesus parted the Red Sea. I have faith enough to move mountains. And so I literally would envision and I would pray to God that, God, you are now moving. You have your hands are moving the vessel out the way. Not just a little bit, but a large percentage of the way. It's completely moved. It's like it was never even there. Right? I'm like praying this. I'm repeating this. And somebody could say, well, you keep repeating it. Did you really believe it? I kept repeating it because I'm like, this is what I want, God. I'm serious. Like, move this vessel. Because everybody telling me it could be a miracle. And guess what? I know you do miracles. And I'm not just trying to look for a miracle, because you waking me up today, me being able to see, me being able to walk, me having blessed with a great family, me just being able to be here, right, is enough for me to know that you're real. So I'm not saying I need you to do, but right now, Lord, and right now, Daddy, Father, I need you. Right? And I know you know everything that's going on with me. I'm just communicating with him like, hey, Dad, I need you right now. Please move it. But it was more like, Lord, God, Dad, I know you can do this. I know you can. I don't have no doubt. None. The doubt coming from me is me checking myself, right? It's me making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, right? Da. Are you gonna take a nap? Or you wanna join the story? You wanna tell them about your experience? Huh? You would be able to tell the story better than anybody. You was in there. She witnessed it actually moving. Or maybe she might have been asleep. So, anyway, went to the doctor. After I'm praying, they go and say it's still there, right? They talk more about what I cannot do. They are officially going to put me in the hospital. And I'm like, I wanted to have my baby shower, but I was willing to give it up, but I still wanted it. And because I've had other things that put together for me that just didn't turn out right. Like my reveal didn't turn out like I wanted to, my marriage and all. But again, I'm blessed and highly favored with blessed moments. It's just that the experience. But that's okay, because it's not okay, but it's okay because it fueled me. And when I produce events and things for other people, to make sure that I do everything I can to make sure they have a great experience, and that the flow and experience for their guests and stuff like that is amazing, right? So that actually helped me as I produce excellence for other people. So I don't look at it anyway. There was a moment that I couldn't, I was so bothered by it that it made me really sad. And I asked God to remove that, and God did. And put it in the form of me blessing other people and helping them with their experiences. So I don't know nothing about that now. And so we went, they told me, it's still there. I'm like, Lord, I didn't know you moved it. So I go back in, Lord, I got the faith enough to move these mountains, this vessel. We're going to move it. I'm like, I'm envisioning. I'm like, and I'm praying. I'm believing God that it is moving. And the basically like, well, I'm like, well, I want another scan before you decide to give me a C-section. And they're like, no, you won't get it. I'm like, no, I want another scan. They're like, no, you don't need another one. We're going to just go ahead and do it. Man, I'm trying to figure out everything I can. I'm in prayer. I'm like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. Period. So my baby shower comes. Beautiful baby shower. Shout out to Denitra and Citra and my family. And then I was only able to be there for a few hours, and then went and enrolled into the hospital. And throughout the weekend, the nurses kept coming in and trying to get me to take different meds to speed up different things. And I won't go into that right now, but I kept saying, well, I don't want to make any decisions until Monday, when my doctor comes back. And then they were like, well, your doctor's actually going to be out for another so many days. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do anything. I want a ultrasound, because the vessel moved. And every nurse in there, it was so funny because, and I'm real funny, and I know this type of stuff, they gonna send different versions of people in. And I'm not saying that they will do this to you, but just think about when you go to like a place when they're doing like sales calls, and like it's a sales environment, and they might have somebody that either looks like you, but majority of people that didn't look like me there, but they'll look like you to see if it can relate. They'll send somebody in that's like good cop, bad cop. They'll send somebody in that's like really, like, well, like really kind, and like, then they'll send somebody else that's really serious. Like they send like 5 or 6 different types of nurses in. And the last nurse, she sent the doctor in, and she was real mean. She was like, well, you're just going to make this decision for your baby. And I'm like, I'm in here for another 40 days. Like, I don't have to make this decision right now. It's not like this decision is like life or death right now. Now, that would have been a whole different conversation. But it wasn't. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Okay? Let's pump the brakes a little bit. We can wait until Monday. Anyway, Monday rolled around. They went ahead and ordered me an ultrasound. We were sitting in there with the ultrasound, and the tech is quiet, and I'm like, it moved. It had to have moved. It had to have moved in my head, but I'm not saying it out loud. So, let me get a second opinion. So she called somebody else. They're like, still quiet. It's like, I'm actually not even seeing it. It's nowhere near it. I'm sitting there like, thank you, Lord. But I ain't saying nothing loud because she's calling somebody else, because I want to make sure she double checking herself too. But anyway, long story short, another doctor come in. They don't see it. It's moved. It's completely out the way. This doctor now is like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. But every single specialist, nurse, doctor, everybody else for the other, 3 months prior, 3-ish months prior, everybody else had, the results were like, it would be a miracle. Everybody, all the other professionals, experts. And I'm like, thank you, God, too, that I didn't have this doctor first, because I needed to take that serious during that time. I needed to take, I was about to go to Florida on a trip. I needed to take it serious. And so thank God I didn't have her first, but also thank God that I had her then, right? Because she was able to see it, and she was like, oh yeah, you're good. And then they were like, oh, you can go home. So I went from high risk and all these different emotions to, oh, you can go home. So I was only in the hospital for 3 days. But I'm still like, I don't feel well. Like I still feel off, right? And I said, you know what? I'm still going to take it easy, because they sit here and say all this stuff, right? And now I'm no longer high risk, but I still had, it was just a lot to unpack. Well, 3 days later, I went into, they ended up ordering me another ultrasound. So I went like 2 days later for another ultrasound. And then they confirmed that it had moved and that there was nothing to worry about anymore. Well, I still was feeling off. That was Wednesday. Then we have Thursday. Friday, I feel really off. I don't want to be away from my son. Like, I'm in like hyper. I'm like kind of curled up. I don't have any pain. I just feel like I'm in touch with myself. Something's off. So if you know something's off with you, don't let nobody tell you that something isn't wrong. Don't let nobody tell you that. You know you, right? And I literally, my son left. I didn't want him to go. I'm like, we just need to be together. And anyway, later on that night, I think it was like around 10ish, I went into early labor. So she came 6 weeks early. And so I would have been in the hospital. And like I could have told them I didn't want the scan, but I wanted the scan. Because they was about to give me a C-section. And if I didn't need to get a C-section, and if you had to get a C-section, we do what's best for what we need to do in the moment, right? We do what's best for us. So don't feel bad about anything that you've done, right? I don't know what you're experiencing, so we won't go in there. You want to share. But the thing about it is advocate for yourself. So I'm glad I got that scan to see that it moved. So then it removed me from having to do the C-section, because they was about to give me a C-section like by the end of that month. And I wanted to go full term with her, but anyway, she came. That night we went to the hospital, they checked. It was like, oh, well, we don't. The vessel you've been cleared of the vessel. So if I wouldn't have, they would have just did the C-section without even checking the ultrasound. You've already been cleared of the vessels being in the way, so then you could have a vaginal birth. And so that right there was, first it was scary because she was coming early. But then it was also like beautiful because I was able to have a natural birth again when I had a natural birth for my son. And that being able to just advocate for yourself. And then just being in the hospital, it was all also interesting just because like it wasn't many that were my color. And then it was like the things I was asking for, and I was very independent, right? Just the comments and stuff was, I just feel for women, right? Because I can only imagine what other women may have experienced in the hospital. And mine wasn't horrible, but it was enough to make me be like, I had to speak up for myself. I mean, I had one nurse that was like, oh, you're Miss Superwoman. You could do it all yourself. And I'm like, nah, I'm not trying to do it all myself. You told me to walk around. Just like little comments like that. That's like, what? What'd she say that for? Right? Because I was any help that I could get, but I also knew the thing about I wanted to be able to take, because my baby was in the NICU now. So now I'm trying to get to the NICU with her. But I'm also trying to take care of myself, making sure that I'm okay, because I was having blood clots and things like that. So I was definitely making sure that I'm taking care of myself, but I was also like, okay, let me stand up. Let me sit back down, get some rest. Let me go to sleep early. I mean, I had to tell them like, hey, please don't come in here from this time to this time. Because it was like one thing after the next thing. I even had to call and ask, like, I need another day here. Because the last day I was supposed to be there, it was like everything. Every single thing that they knock on your door for. And thank you. But then sometimes you just need one day where it's nothing, because then you're thrown into life with a new baby. And you didn't even get to have a moment to yourself to be like, I just had a baby. Which is a blessing. So if you're a new mom, advocate, or you're pregnant, advocate for yourself, your time. You know, if there's people that can be there to help you, but set boundaries. I mean, I had people mad at me, and I didn't care. No, because when I had my son, I was so overwhelmed. Being a new mom, I was paranoid. Like, don't touch my baby. Don't touch my, you ain't wash your hands. Boy, I was like a mama bear. Like, do not mess with my child. And then the moment you showed me who you were, I was like, I'm off of you. So, even if they still love me, I still was like, nope. Nah. Nope. And with my son, it was like, I mean, I had so many people at the hospital, which I love that. Thank you. But I didn't want that at all with my daughter. Like, I don't want any visitors. No, because I wanna now figure out this breastfeeding thing, right? I wanna, I don't want you walking in and everybody got different smells and stuff, and now I'm smelling all y'all perfume and then it don't leave the room, right? I am not trying to have y'all trekking on yourself, coming in there coughing and, over my baby and me. I love you though. Call me. Send me a text. Put some flowers at the front desk. Buy some food, right? Like, you can be helpful without being intrusive. And sometimes people don't think it's intrusive, but anyway, you do you. And what's best for you. But for me, I'm already a type of person that I'm okay with being with myself, right? So I can get centered in God, have clarity in thought. I ain't trying to have you coming in there bringing your own food and talking on the phone and you talking about your other stuff. And so, long story short, because I started rambling about this, you can see that it's important to me. Advocate for yourself. Say no. Delegate. And my thing was, my time was in the NICU. So now it's like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm getting sleep, I'm eating, and then I'm at the NICU. Then I can, after I was released, I'm back at the NICU with my family, with my daughter. And then now I'm trying to navigate, make sure I get home so I can see my son and my husband, and then get right back to the NICU. And she ended up stopping, she had stopped breathing at one point, so they had to keep her, but she was only there, and once she was able to be clear, she was only there for like a week. So that was beautiful, right? Because at first it was like, we don't know, right? So I give it up to moms on a mission, those who are, yes, love. Yes. You want to tell your own story? You should. Hold on, okay, I'm going to hold you like this, love. So, whatever it is that you are seeking, whatever it is that you are experiencing, it's a transition. It's this place in the middle. It's this, Lord, I desire this, and why is it not coming to pass? Lord, you gave me this. Now, how do I steward? How do I move in it? What makes you happy? How do I glorify you in this? Lord, you took that away. Why? And what am I supposed to learn from this? And then how do I grow and move forward and even more boldly in you? And keep the faith. It's easy to go out into the world and just to look around at everybody else's life and be like, I want this, I want that, I want to do this, I want to do that. But you were made for a time as this. Like, where is that at? That's look it up. You were made for a time as this. And God's already prepared you. And there's nobody else like you. Nobody. So as leaders, as women on a mission or men on a mission, a person who are you building a company, you know your numbers, you know your data, you got your proposals and your pitch decks and your one-sheeters and if you don't and you need help with that, just drop a comment. I do a lot of those things, and I also know amazing people who specialize in some of those areas. And so you know your business, or you're working towards your business and growing your business. So you're very well competition on paper. But when it comes to God and you being you, there's no competition at all. None. There's nobody else who can do what you are meant to do. Now, God will, now, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, trust and believe God got some backup plans. God got some, and to you it's a backup plan, but to him it's a first choice, right? Because it's a different angle. They come from a different angle because they got something that they're supposed to do. So God's will is going to be done, whether we like it or not, whether we want to or not, whether we scared or not. It's going to happen. And oftentimes I think to myself like, oh Lord, what wilderness? They was lost in the wilderness for 40 days. Like, what wilderness am I in? Ooh. Right? So think about if there's something that's been replaying over and over, but different versions of it, start checking it and talk to God about that so you can come out of that. Right? You got to make that decision. Hey, love. You got to make that decision. And so this transition, this middle place that you're in, know that God's got you. And again, I'm so honored and blessed with my daughter, because if I think about last year and then just the beginning of 2023 and now going into 2024 with her, I'm so honored. I'm so blessed. I am even more on a mission to help others move boldly in their God-given dreams and goals, objectives, KPIs, however you identify it. There's God is on a mission. God has something that God needs you to do. And it's important that you do it. And it's important that you do it unapologetically, boldly. Everybody's not going to like what you do. Everybody's not going to understand it. Sometimes you're going to feel like you by yourself. But you're not. You got God. Right? And God's got you. And so, it's been an interesting year. And I'm just excited. I mean, even just thinking about the last month, I've had several things that were canceled. And I'm like, oh, Lord. And I'm also like, okay, Lord, what are you making room for? That kind of stung, though. So replace it 3 times, please. No. No, I'm serious. And so because I love God, I know things are working out in my favor. And again, it may not look like it. So I got to stay focused and renew my mind daily, often. Watch what I'm. So I'm the type of person that I can either get on your nerves or I can truly motivate you. I've had people be like, okay, not right now. But then fine, you want to stay in lack and confusion? No, I'm serious. I can either motivate you or get on your nerve because of my optimism. But my optimism is actually a superpower, because I can see the goodness, and also I can see the bad. I can see all that stuff in between the two, but I can see it more than half full. And then from there, God gives me the ideas and strategies to navigate certain things. Because God's always playing chess. And I love it. I love it how the enemy somebody thinks they can stop you, and God has another play for you. And the keto is, people like, God speaks to me. God speaks to me. God is speaking to all of us. And God's already given it to us with the word. And so it's like, Holy Spirit, I yield to you, Lord. I ask you to inform me, to open my mind, to remove anything that I'm not seeing, so that I can understand God's word and how I need to apply it to my life and my circumstance right now. And you know that it doesn't look good. This is not what I'm expecting. But because I know that you're working everything out for my good, I'm gonna yield, and I'm gonna move boldly in this, and I'm going to listen. So what is it that you need to listen to? God's already giving you instructions. Move boldly on that. I'm gonna get off. I am Denisha on a mission to help more leaders move boldly on their God-given goals and dreams. I'll come back. Maybe she'll do an interview with me and tell everybody what was going on inside when all this stuff. She probably was asleep. She was growing. But where you feel like God-given goals. So you got this. Oop, I'm mommy. It's like, mommy, you got this. Why you got this? Because God's got you. So let's go.